I wanted to make a video that just sort of showed a little bit better how one of these modules works. So I'm gonna take one of these apart just to kind of show or better show how the mechanic works with the magnetic arrangement inside. In the sort of reveal video, I touched on it briefly, but not everyone knows how magnets work. I don't know. I assume that most people know how magnets work, but in any event, I'm going to take this apart and just kind of sort of go over how it works. So first of all, to take this apart, this teeny tiny nose just threads off. I'm going to try and secure these a little more snugly when I put these together, but for now it's just a loose fit. So in there, it's a little cap screw, and take that out, and this whole thing will just come apart. So this is a little cap screw I machined, so it's a bolt, but it has a thread on the head so that this little cap can cover it. So it's one little trick on how I hide the hardware. All right, so let's take this apart. So there's 4 magnets in here. And let me push the other section out here. Okay, so there are 3 main sections. The main stem that connects all the pieces together. This hub, and then a nose hub, which also has 4 magnets. So basically what you have is an arrangement of 4 magnets with opposing polarities. So put this little polarity tester on there. So that one is south, and that one is north. So I'm going to mark all the south in red. So you have south facing, north facing, which means on this side, because magnets have polarity, this is south, and these two are north. So the magnetism that sort of leaks through the part is south and north. Now on this one, let's see if I can. That's north, and that's south. I'm going to mark these south, and then on the other side, that would make these south. And then finally, on this one, let's see, these are south. So if I've done this correctly, these two are like poles, repel each other. So yep, these two repel, but if I turn it 90 degrees, they attract. Yeah, so basically when this is bolted together, I'm gonna bolt it together just to make it easier. So when this is assembled, when the hub is on here, basically south and south are in alignment. So what that means is that when this is rotated into position where the 2 south poles are repelling each other on this side, that means north is facing south on this side. So when you rotate it, it repels this half and attracts this half, and the hub will move to the right. Now when you turn it again, that will bring those south poles into alignment with these south poles, and they will repel. But on the opposite side, the north facing poles will now attract those south facing poles, and the hub will move to the left. So you get a switching motion. And I'll try and do a diagram of that, but I thought, it seems really simple. I think it seems really simple when you explain that, but sort of puzzling all that out and getting that to work was a lot of fun. When I made my original prototype, I thought I could just get by with, let me take this back apart. I thought I could get by with just having magnets on one side. Meaning that when this I thought I could get by with just the 4 main magnets and then a set of magnets in a hub, so that when you rotate it, it would just repel and float like that. up against another one. But what happened is this is kind of an unstable state, meaning that while this is repelling, this is still free to spin, and there's nothing to lock that down. So it wouldn't really set in this position. It would just sort of float until it locked back down. There's nothing to hold the hub in place. So with the double arrangement, you really do get a nice positive lock in both directions. And it made the build much more complex, of course, and made me have to rethink the whole design as far as aesthetics and what that looked like. So the inspiration for all of this, first I had the idea of just trying to use the latent magnetic fields, but the real inspiration for this mechanic came from a collector of mine sent me these. I'd seen this video ages ago, but they sort of reminded me they existed. So there's a company out there that makes these, well, they call them smart magnets. And what they are is they've created sort of proprietary technology for 3D printing. I guess it's 3D printing. They've created a printer that can print magnetic dots. So they can control the polarity of each of those dots in very fine grain resolution. And I'll link to the video because it's a really fascinating video. But if you put magnetic tape over this tape is a little worn out, but you can see it has some really strange field properties. And each of these magnets behaves a little bit differently. Yeah. So this is a set of printed magnets, and these attract each other strongly, but when you twist them 90 degrees, they repel. And that's, you know, they sort of call it, you know, a magnetic door latch, because in one position they repel, in one position they close, which, you know, would work as a latch. It actually has a really interesting looking field on it. It even sort of looks like a door latch. It's got, the way that the field is set up is that, you know, the polarity has cogs in it, and when they line up a certain way, they repel each other, and when they line up another way, they attract each other. And I thought that was just really fascinating, but I don't have access to such technology. In addition to that, these magnets are very large and unwieldy for making art. So I was just trying to think, you know, I just put that in the back of my head and thought maybe one day I could use that idea for something. This is another one that repels only in one really small position, and then the rest of them, it attracts very strongly. This magnet, they repel really closely, but it attracts strongly until it gets very close, and then it repels. But in any event, I just thought these were really interesting from, you know, an engineering principle from perspective or from a scientific perspective. And I didn't know if it would ever find its way into a piece, but since I was working on the module series and I had this interesting binary polarity setup, I thought, you know, there's something there, there's a possibility, and that made me think of that, and made me think that there might be a way to create some interesting linear motion playing with that polarity. So there you go. That's how it works. It gives you this is about almost 3/10 of an inch of motion, 2.85 inches of motion. I probably could have pushed that a little bit further. I could probably get a 1/2 inch of motion out of it. But things got a little screwy with aesthetics, and, you know, creating that much of a gap in here and in here would elongate the whole arrangement, and things just started to get really sort of ugly as far as designing a piece that was pleasant to look at. So this is a nice robust motion, and I'm happy with that. So I'm happy with the way it looks, and I'm happy with the mechanics. So that was a nice conservative stopping point. So yeah, that's the build. And to my collector friend who sent me this, thank you. It did eventually work out in the back of my head somewhere. So I appreciate that, and I hope you like the piece. And that's the gist of it. All right. Thanks again, guys.